Today's episode of Tiling Connect is brought to you by Lux's Grates, the leaders in aluminium drainage, which are UV stable, rust proof and customisable on site. Available in your local tile or plumbing shop.
Hey everybody, Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome to today's episode. Really lucky and fortunate to have another amazing guest on with us today. We have a tiling contractor from the Gold Coast. It's been a while since we've spoken with a tiler. I've been trying to feed obviously a lot of other content and great stuff to our community. However, it was time, and after many back and forth text messages and Instagram messages, I finally got him on board. So I've got Fineas Pintilie from Premium Edge Tiling with us today. Fineas, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Oh, hi, Mike. Thanks for having me. It's quite the honour.
Awesome, mate. No, look, I always love chatting with tilers. I've been in the building products game now for 21 years, and a big part of that has been tiling. And some of my best mates are tilers. And mate, I know that in the past when we've had different tiling contractors on, a lot of the community get a lot of benefit out of listening to your story and finding out more about you. And without me droning on too much today, I would love to pass it over to you. And mate, look, just give us a look in on who you are, how you started in tiling, how big your business is. Yeah, give us a real grand insight into Fineas Pintilie and Premium Edge Tiling.
Thanks, mate. My name's Fineas. I started tiling. I was given the opportunity when I was 17 years old. I finished school and growing up, I've always had a passion and a flair for art. I did a lot of painting, and then I spent a lot of my spare time doing just woodwork in the shed. I used to make boomerangs and paint them. So I've always loved creating, construction, art. It was like my hobbies, my passion. So it was a pretty big deal. And then when I was given the opportunity to try out some tiling, I fell in love with it straight away. I was like, this is fantastic. I can't believe people make money doing this all day.
That's cool.
This is awesome. Like, working with the adhesives, cutting them, and also being able to sort of step back and look at the bigger picture and be like, far out, we've created something epic. And it's a finishing product that people get to obviously enjoy for in a home and things like that. So it was awesome. So fell in love with it straight away, and it was 8 years ago now. And since then, I've also really enjoyed business. So before getting into tiling, I did successfully start like an online store selling stuff online, and that was really, really great. And then tried a cleaning business that I wasn't really passionate for that, so that didn't really work out. But when I hit tiling as a career, I absolutely loved it, and that's what stuck. And I knew that this is going to be sort of it for me. I'm going to give it my absolute all. So I guess that was important to sort of note, because I think we sort of transitioned from a period of learning the trade, and that was a lot of fun, and getting to a point where I was, really taking pride in my work, loving the trade itself, to thinking about trying to do more with this and trying to put together a team, and trying to expand this to sort of new levels. So journey.
Mate, if you don't mind me asking, and sorry to interrupt, but
right.
how did you get introduced to tiling? Was it one person, or did you just see something one day and go, I've got to have a crack at this? What was it?
No, we had some good Romanian friends. His name's Simeon from Eurolux Tiling. It's pretty great. Done a lot
shout out Simeon.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, so he's really great. So he was a good mate of mine. So he was at the time I lived in Gympie. He had a big contract on the Sunshine Coast, and I think he was looking for some extra boys, and he reached out and asked if I was interested in helping out, and I was like, yeah, let's give this a crack, and it sort of stuck. And yeah,
wow, that's cool. That's so cool. And I'm guessing from the businesses that you operated previously, the online store and things like that, that it gave you a bit of the flavour for wanting to not just be a one-man band. When did you sort of decide that it was time to have more people join your crew? And how big is your crew today? Like how many trades have you got working for you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like, so I learned the trade pretty much straight away, and I was obviously aiming to get my license. And the second that happened, before I even sort of left and started subcontracting, I got one of the young guys, my best mate. I got him into tiling. He was learning tiling, and right from the start, he then went off with me, and we started subcontracting together. And he was my apprentice.
Yeah.
So from the start, Isaac still works with me now. He went off on his own for a little bit because he had to move to Sydney, but now he's back from Sydney, so now he's rejoined the team. But yeah, so from the very start, the second I sort of left and we started subcontracting, I had Isaac with me. But yeah, 8 years later, we've managed to grow the team a little bit. Now there's 15 of us, which is really exciting.
Wow, that's a big number, man.
Yeah, oh yeah. And yeah, our hopes are to continue to learn. It's a big learning curve, and we want to continue growing the team, but we want to be really careful on how we do that, because we want to do it in a very sort of comfortable way, where it makes a lot of sense for everyone, and there's no harm along the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And during that journey and getting to that number of 15, I mean, how did you find people? Like, this is probably one of those questions that a lot of people love to hear about, is how did you find quality people to join Premium Edge Tiling?
So for us, sort of being part of, the greater community, friends of friends, things like that, that's how a lot of it sort of happened. But yeah, so Isaac would come to me and say, "Oh, look, I've got this guy. He's interested in learning how to tile." And then we got him on board. And then, he had a friend that wanted to learn how to tile. And that's kind of how it happened at the start. Now, last year we did use Job Seeker. And I was like, let's give this a crack to sort of see how it goes. And the way it sort of happened, we've run 1 or 2 ads. And our greatest success with Job Seeker, and this is actually a little tip, is put the ads out there. Now the leads come through, people apply for the lead, but they also have access to your information. Now, out of the 2 or 3 ads we ran on Job Seeker, 2 or 3 people have actually gone out of their way to privately reach out to me and introduce themselves and ask for the position. Those are the only people I've interviewed, and they're with us now still. So it sort of goes to show someone that's willing to go out of their way, even at the interviewing stage. Straight off the bat, I was really excited to get them on board, and clearly they're still performing massively with us.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, I like that selection. I actually love that selection process where you're in the position where people are actually going outside of their comfort zone to go, you know what, look, I could just put an application in, but I might just go over and above and contact the employer directly and find out a little bit more about the role, the job, and express my desire to want to learn that trade. So, mate, good on you. That's terrific that's happened and that they're still with you today. That's really cool.
Yeah,
so, mate, getting back on track, because look, I've got a whole host of questions I want to throw at you today, because we love learning about people in the trade. We love learning about people in that are tiling and in the industry. So I hope you're ready. There won't be too many curly questions, but there's some really, really cool ones. Walk me through, I suppose, today. Can you walk me through your experience in the tiling industry over the past 8 years, and give me a bit of a background on how you found things and what has helped you be successful in what you're doing?
Big question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sort of think of a few key points. And one of the key points that sort of come to mind is, I think the way we sort of rolled into it, we were subcontracting to the first guy I sort of started working to. And then from that, we went on and started working for project builders, the builders that sort of pump out a lot of rental homes, your normal sort of easy tiling. And I think it was in one of the first years when we were doing those tiling, those sort of spec homes, where I realized that it's going to be really hard to recruit a large team of tilers that take pride in their work and love coming to work when all we're working on is cookie cutter, day in, day out, same type of tiling, where it gets really boring. It's really simple. These homes, a lot of these homes are all rental properties, so none of them actually go to homeowners. There's not much taste or flavor in the work. So that was one of the big turning points for me. I realized that if I am to grow a big team, and I need to start working on a brand, I need to start working on a reputation, I need to start working on getting jobs where there's been a bit of a selection process of clients going through, selecting cool looking tiles, and then we can come in and really take pride in delivering an awesome product. And I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. No, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. There's obviously different styles of tiling out there in the marketplace, right? And from your commercial, big builds, whether it's Queen's Wharf project in the city, and then you have investment properties, and then you have obviously independent work where you're just working for general consumers, whether their houses be, I don't know, 500,000, 1.5 million, 5 million. So there is different styles, and definitely it makes sense. It can get very, I can imagine it can get very boring, I suppose, over a period of time if you're just doing investment properties and there's not a lot of flavour to the tiling, and you're not really using your artistry and craft, so to speak, to get, even I imagine that tiling in many aspects as well is, a lot of it sometimes can be problem solving. You get a really complex job and you've got to try and work out how to cut a particular tile a certain way, and how to get things meeting in the right angle or the right joins. It's when you're doing investment properties, it's probably not as difficult, and you're not using your full set of skills.
That's right. But at the same time, if I can say this, add this in, they are fantastic for how do I say this? It's almost like a learning ground. They're some of the best projects for the younger first and second year apprentices to have a crack at it. Do you know what I mean? Because they're really simple tiles, new floors. There's very little that can go wrong. No one's on edge about, far out, these tiles are worth $10,000 and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You can practice a little bit and do whatever is needed.
So it's a learning ground. It's like TAFE in every house. It's somewhere for them to learn how to mix and string lines and cut tiles. That's right. And awesome. That's cool.
If I may add this, we've actually also decided to keep projects like this for that very reason as well. It's not like we moved away 110%, but no. that's like 5% of what we do now.
Yeah, right. Well, I imagine, and given the current climate at the moment, investment properties are declining at the fastest pace I think the country has ever seen in the history of the world. And there is not a lot of investment properties popping up now and in the future. You can turn on any sort of editorial article and hear about how the fact that a lot of these investors and even investment properties and investment groups are sitting on land for sort of like 5, 10, 15 years and not doing anything with it until the market changes. So I imagine that pie will probably continue to get smaller in the next couple of years. So diversifying into other different areas of tiling would be beneficial, and having a pretty open book on what you want to look at doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Makes sense.
Well, mate, tell me a little bit more about your specialty tiling work. What sort of projects are you into? Obviously you're on the Gold Coast. What are you doing?
Yeah. So just to correct that slightly, we absolutely work on the Gold Coast. I'm actually personally based in Logan, and then we work from all the way to the north side of Brisbane, all the way to Gold Coast. But at the same time, depending on the projects, we take projects in Sunshine Coast if we have to accommodate to a builder's needs, or even as far as Emerald. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
what keeps things interesting.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, so that's really cool. But regarding your question on what we specialize in, now, if I was a sort of like a one-band team or something like that, I absolutely do see the importance of specializing in something and just being able to say, this is what we're really good at. At the start, we used to do a lot of waterproofing and tiling, all of that. We sort of gone into now we're in a position where we're like, you know what, let's let the professionals, because the code's changing so much, we sort of subcontract all the waterproofing out, and then we stick to tiling. So when it comes to specializing, I would say we specialize just in tiling, which is really broad. And that is exactly what we want to do. So when our phone goes off and somebody calls us and goes like, oh, look, I've got a main floor, kitchen splashback, some mosaic, and some stonework, and some pool tiling to do. And we're like, yep, we can take the whole project on and get it done well. So within our team, we do have strengths. So there's two people that's like are really good and professionalize in pool tiling. And then there's certain people that specialize in stonework. So as a team, because we've got 15 people, I really do want to put my hand up and say, we can do it all. We do specialize confidently, and we can take on anything, and we can do it well. So that's just part of trying to accommodate to anyone that sort of any builder, any client that has various tiling to be done or stonework. We don't want to say, yeah, look, we can do your tiling inside, but we're not going to touch your pool tiling or stone. You're going to have to find a stonemason. You're going to look for a waterproofer. You've got to look for a pool tiler. We can put our hand up and say, yeah, you know what? Let's give it to us. We'll take it, and we'll do the whole lot and do it confidently and deliver a good job.
Awesome, mate. Well, thank you for correcting me on that, because it was probably a part of the research that I struggled with to find out where you guys were currently doing work. So but that's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome to know that you guys have got a wide territory to look after. And I'm sure if the opportunity came up and someone said, mate, we need you to fly to Sydney and come and do some work for us at Fineas, you guys would be there. So, so mate, that's cool. Tell me, given that you've got 15 members in your team and you're doing a wide variety of work around many different locations, how do you go about ensuring quality is delivered on every single project?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this is a learning curve for us, where this is something I've sort of realized at the end of the year that this is something I was struggling in, because as the owner of the business, I want to always be in a position where I'm leading the team from the front, and not the one, at the back of the team, putting out fires, sorting out little issues here or there or whatever. So regarding that question, I did realize that now that we have reached a team of 15, one of the decisions we've made is to employ a full-time project manager. He has tiling experience. It's been absolutely fantastic the last few months of last year, and all of this so far, in the value he brings in helping with that question, in working on maintaining quality, managing that side of things. So there's a lot of things we do, but having a project manager run on every project, first of all, we only put, so we understand our team members' quality and strengths, and we allocate jobs to members very strategically, ensuring that member that got placed on that job understands 110% how to complete the scope of work 110% to a perfect sort of quality. If someone is, let's say, a third year or fourth year, we might put him with a crew working on something that's a tiny bit more simple, versus someone that is an absolute expert in the trade. Would put him on the projects that are worth a few $1 million, that every tile has to be 110%. So we come up with the selection on who we put on what job. A part of it goes into that. There's a lot of project managing. Jack runs around on every job site every single day, and there's a checklist of things he runs through. Another thing we do, and this one's massive, we have our own group chat system, and it is an absolute requirement that at the end of each day, regardless if I've been on the job or if Jack's been on the job, you have to submit photos of your work that day on that group. And it's not because just so we can check it to see if it's good. It's actually, that's got a number of benefits. It sort of creates a little bit of competition because the ones that come in at 110%, like clean, perfect work, you know, we egg them on and be like, man, that is some freaking clean work. Look at that set out. Look at that, you know. And then the rest on that group are like, you know what? I'm going to try to aim for those compliments tomorrow or whatever. So there's a lot of value in that regard. We massively take pride in your work. So I think the photos on the group chat is number one, project manager, number two, and being clever about who we put on what job is the third. There's probably some other stuff I'm probably can't think of right now, but yeah, that's probably the main three.
Are you looking for a water drainage solution that serves its purpose and adds a touch of elegance to your space? Lux's Grates are here to revolutionise your indoor and outdoor spaces. Whether it's your shower, bathroom, balcony, pool, or any other area, Lux's Grates is the ideal choice. It's quick and easy installation that you can bang out in just over an hour. Their standard grates offer a classic and timeless look, while the next generation style adds a modern twist. Lux's Grates are made of high quality anodised aluminium, ensuring durability and longevity.
Mate, that's pretty thorough. I mean, to have that sort of system set up, you know, to have a project manager, you know, going over and doing a review on the work to ensure that standards are being met. And you know, the standards would be getting set by you, right? It's your business, so that you're setting those expectations, and that's what you want people to strive to achieve. So completely get that. Project managers are great, obviously, particularly if they're a highly experienced project manager with tiling with a tiling background. They can definitely give you that sort of support. If I can be so cheeky to ask, what platform are you using for your photos? Is it WhatsApp or another platform?
It's funny you ask that question. We might have to move to WhatsApp because not everyone has an iPhone. But we actually just use Messenger, because everyone on the team except for one of the apprentices, they all have iPhones. So that's worked fantastic so far. But we might. We actually had to convince one of the guys to get an iPhone for work, so he did that. So we didn't have to change the group chat to WhatsApp or something else. But we literally just used a messenger group, and if there was any issues with that, we'd change to a different platform. But so far, that's what we sort of use. And then also those photos that go on the group are then automatically quickly used to then update the builders accordingly. A lot of people don't care; they just want us to go in there and do a good job. But I'm sure they don't mind getting a few cheeky photos every single day while we're on site, just knowing that the project's moving along. Everyone likes an update.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. We live in the world of digital media and imagery, and whether it's videos, photos, or, you know, anything really in that space, people love to see it. Particularly me, I've got a bloody podcast all about tiling. So, but no, that's awesome, mate. I love it. Tell me a little bit more about being the business owner and being involved over the past 8 years in this landscape. Give us a look in on what your leadership style is like that gets the best results out of your team.
Let me think.
And you don't need to be modest. It's all right.
No, I am going to be 100% honest. I think what is needed is you got to sort of treat everyone the same way you'd want to be treated. And what I'm sort of realizing as well is everyone's within a space where they really have to feel expected to be working for yourself. You know what I mean? None of this, you know, I don't want to hear this. You know what I mean? Like, I often talk to the boys that work consistently without ever taking time off. I'm like, mate, you do realize, like, if you're feeling off a little bit, feel free to contact us and just ask for half a day off, or just have the day off for yourself. If throughout the week you ever feel a little bit under or whatever, like I want you to treat this like you were working for yourself. You know what I mean? You'd call the client if something was going on in your personal time. So that's sort of where it's gone to. So like, I feel like you really got to treat people with a lot of respect, because at the end of the day, they're they are the ones that are making the team. So without them, you there's only so much my two little hands can tile. So I am greatly dependent on a fantastic team that takes a lot of pride in their work, want to be there, want to deliver. So in order to do that, I've got to really, really treat them with a lot of respect. They have to understand that they're being valued, but at the same time, we are careful to not to not be stepped on either, to where we walked all over either. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
when something needs to be addressed, we definitely address it. We give notices and things like that, because ultimately we do want to have a selection of people that absolutely want to do tiling, absolutely take pride in their work. We absolutely do not want to work with anyone that is simply there just because they need a job. They can go apply at McDonald's or something. But yeah, like, you gotta love tiling to work with us, and you gotta take pride in your work. If we sense that you're struggling to take pride in your work, and you're sort of just there to make a bit of money, then you're gonna get talked to, probably get given a bit of a warning, and not even that. Just we sort of sit down and have an honest conversation, like, do you really see yourself doing this? Like, you really shouldn't be wasting your time. If you think that this isn't for you, do you want like a week or two off to sort of think about this? Maybe you want to trial something else. But like I tell the boys, like, man, you wake up in the morning, you go to work, you are at work every single day. Make the most of it. Don't just be there because you have to be there. Like, take the opportunity to just be the best at it. Do you know what I mean? You have to be there anyway.
Look, look, mate, all of that's really awesome. It's certainly not a perfect world, right? And you have to find the right balance. And I've always adopted that sort of style in leadership that I've had with the many different roles that I've had in management and leadership over many, many years. And sometimes you just have to have those difficult conversations and sit someone down and say, hey, look, you're not, my expectation is at this level, you're at this level. Clearly there's something about, what you're doing that you don't like. Let's just have an honest conversation about, what does your future look like? Do you actually see yourself working for me for the next 5 years? And it's okay if you don't. Like, put it out there, because we don't want you to spend 5 years miserable working for us, because in the deep down inside that you're not going to get the best results out of this person. Productivity might be about 65%. You need them performing at about 90, 95 perhaps on most days. So it's the best. It is really, honestly, some of the best ways to approach dealing with people. I think we're going into a different landscape too as the world changes. And, I think there's going to be more people available in the next 12, 24 months, where we've been very unlucky the last few years to get access to people, because people have changed jobs and it's just been hard to find good people.
Yeah, always.
Well, mate, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing. I've got still a few more questions to ask today, so I'm gonna get into those. Now, we talked about leadership. What are some of the I suppose the skills that you use to build a good team? Do you guys do a lot of social activities outside of work? How do you build how do you build and nurture a team of 15? Because that's a big number. And as we know in life, not everyone's personalities get along. So how do you go about bringing that together?
Yeah. I'm the wrong person to ask, because this is all a learning curve for me as well. No, so you mentioned activities. I think that is something there's a lot of power in doing activities and that sort of thing. That is something that we'll definitely be implementing more of. Now, obviously, we do our Christmas parties and things like that, but I'm really it's fantastic. A lot of the guys, all of them, they're all mates, everyone. So my team, we're all relatively young, and So, and I love that, and I take a lot of pride in that because I want to work with young, strong men that are straight out of school. They want to make a life for themselves. That's where I find a lot of value, massive value in that. And yeah, like one of the clients we're working for at the moment, he told me today, he was like, man, I was a little bit nervous when the young guy came in, but because he was like under 30, he was like, any trade under 30, look, like we get a bit nervous, but he was like, he just could not stop. He was like, Sam is absolutely incredible. He takes so much pride in his work. That guy's an absolute gun. Like I have not seen or met a tradesperson that is more passionate about what he's doing than this guy. He was like, he was clean, he was respectful, and his work is absolutely immaculate. And yeah, like you get you find that they're most hungry when they're young, straight out of school, and they're ready to make something out of themselves, and it's fantastic. So yeah, how do I get, so your question, building a team. So that sort of feeds into that. So because a lot of the team, they're all young, yeah, they're all mates. A lot of them, they all get together really well. If we do, and we have had this issue where two blokes have been on a job and they've had a little bit of disagreement. Anything small, little quarrel, anything comes to us straight away. I find out about it instantly. We then, we don't sort of, we put them on different jobs and things like that. It's generally not related to work or anything like that. So obviously just small decisions like that. But yeah,
It's okay, mate. If you haven't faced it yet, it'll probably happen in the future. There's undoubtedly it'll happen in the future, but it's you've shared some good stuff there, so it's okay. I like it, and it's good that you've got that cohesiveness or working well amongst your team, and that you're completely across and aware of any issues as they arise. I mean, I'm not young anymore, but certainly I understand what it's like to be young, and particularly when a bunch of guys together working on site, different things can influence different outcomes, and girls can be one, and might be fighting over somebody, or it could be anything, mate. It's could have been out at watching the football game on the weekend, and someone bet someone and the other guy lost. But yeah, it's cool. Now, look, tell me, one of the big things that I really like to dig down a bit on is we know in the industry there's a lot of manufacturers and suppliers of products. Yep. How do you go about choosing which manufacturer's products you're going to use on your jobs? What's that process like for you and the team?
Mm-hmm. So I think everyone deserves a fair chance, and if the product is out on the shelf, it's out on the shelf because it's passed a lot of certification, and it's generally a trusted product. The product doesn't come out and turns out to be absolute crap and still stays on the shelf for years and years. You're going to end up having enough complaints that it's going to get off the shelves pretty quickly. Now, regarding this question of materials, because we work absolutely everywhere and we don't have a system where we have our own warehouse with our own special products, I'm going to be honest, like sometimes the boys get materials from Beaumont Tiles or National Tiles, or, we use our local tile shops. So it varies, the products we use. Amongst all the across all the brands, they're generally all really good. With products, it's more making sure we use the right products in the right application, like your mastics, your cement-based glue for your bathrooms, things like that. So yeah, they're pretty good. I think predominantly we use a lot of Mapei products, but Ardex is really, really good as well, and things like that. Two of the products we have struggled with a little bit on more than one job. One would be, I think, the BT50 glue, where like it is a good product, but I think it just takes that little bit longer for it to cure. So if there's foot traffic too quickly, those tiles can, or there's a lot of moisture in there. It takes a little bit longer for the product to cure, and then it doesn't, and a little bit of foot traffic from us or other trades, and those tiles pop. So we've had that more than one time happen with that particular product. So just Nothing to do with the product. Well, I have used it in the past. I think it's fine. I think you just have to be a bit more careful with curing times. But just because it's happened more than once, I've sort of asked the boys to not use that specific product anymore. And another one would be the Mape 100, because there's a blanket. Oh, it's white grout, but it's an off white. It's not a clean, fresh, pasty white. So we've sort of banned that as well, just so it doesn't get used in an application for your clean white tiles, and you use Mape 100, and it's slightly off white, especially when it's wet. It looks quite off. It's not a pasty white. So we use for our white, we use Chem Grout, and what's the other one? Davco. They're fantastic white colors. Yeah. Anyway, so those are the two products we don't use, but across the board, we're not biased to any particular material or anything like that. Everyone deserves a fair go.
No, I like it. I think you have to use the right products for the right application, and what your experience tells you works well, you use, right? It's pretty straightforward. I think there's been, and I know there's many tilers out there, and I know mates of mine that are tilers, and they're very orientated towards using an entire system. Some contractors don't want to use an entire system. So from primers right through to grouts, they might use one particular brand, and in some instances that brand may not be available. Like, as you said before, if you're traveling all the way to Emerald, you may not be able to get Chem Grout out in that area. So you have to choose an alternative unless you've got it in the back of your ute. So I get it. I think there's a lot of merit in using one system, but certainly I think it literally comes back to the applicator and the installer and how they're using the product. And I mean, yeah, look, sometimes you can get products that, for whatever reason, you'll use them, and as you say, the curing time on a product might be delayed and may not go off as quickly as what it had previously. And you certainly don't want to carry that into future jobs, because that can be a roadblock for you to get in and out of those jobs quickly. So, well, mate, that's cool. Tell me I want to know about how you handle challenging things that happen on job sites. So, if, there's going to always unexpected challenges, right? There's always going to be things that happen. What's your problem-solving techniques? Give us give us a look at that.
Problem solving. So what example? I'm just thinking, so like where we would, let's say, have a project pretty much finished, the client walks in and wants something different, or changes their mind, changes their mind on the tiles or things like that. So wrong
tiles installed on a job.
Look, that happens sometimes, where and this has happened recently, where we looked at our color selections, the color selection said the right tiles and everything like that, everything was correct, but when the owners saw them, it was a problem further back in the project where they had changed their mind, but that never has came through. So it wasn't our fault. It just, the tiles needed to be changed. But because we had the photo system, we were able to pick the problem when we would just lay the floors. So it wasn't the whole project that needed to start from scratch. We were able to sort of tackle it pretty quickly because we do the photo system every single day. So day one, they were like, oh, well, yeah, great job on the floors, but they're wrong tiles. So it was just So photos are fantastic. You can pick on problems really, really quickly, because these photos usually get sent to builders, and sometimes builders flex and send them to the clients if the client is not on the project or it's not in their own house and things like that. With different ones, such as, let's say, where we've stuffed up and did something wrong, we have to understand that, like, where I feel like we shine as a contractor, as a tiling contractor, or you shine as an individual, is people pay for a service and they expect us to come in and do a good job. The only time people actually paying attention is the time when something goes wrong. So let's say we've stuffed up majorly. That's where we shine. So that's where I get excited. I'm like, you know what? We've stuffed up. This is our fault. I know it's Saturday tomorrow. I'm going to have 4 people here. We're going to rip all of it off, and we're going to organize the re-waterproofing. Monday, I'm going to pay for new tiles, and come Tuesday, we're going to be back on track. So fully take responsibility, and believe it or not, even on a major stuff up where we've completely stuffed up walls on an entire, and we've had to remove all the walls on an entire bathroom that was finished because our lines on the walls were slightly offset on the floor. They weren't lining up 100%, and there was a whole sort of reason behind that. And instead, I could have easily been like, "Oh, come on," you know what I mean? You're only going to see like half a meter off it, where the bathtub isn't going to be in place and things like that. So I could have easily been like, let's just sort of pass this one. I was like, no, it's the client's home, and it's always difficult because you're dealing. So when working for private jobs and bathroom renovations, things like that, you're dealing with humans' two most sensitive things: their savings and their personal home. So you have to really absolutely understand that they absolutely have every right. So she comes in, she's not 100% happy because of her OCD, not even going to try to argue that it's going to be okay. It's your bathroom, your money. We apologize. We could have done it better. We're going to have this back on track for you. We're going to take any charges that this is going to cost. So yeah, awesome. We stuff up. We're not perfect, but we can be perfect in the way we execute problem solving and fixing issues.
No, mate, I like it. Look, it's as is everything in life, right? You have to take ownership over your mistakes. Not everyone likes doing that. Some people do, some people don't. But certainly, you need to look at it with an open perspective and understand what can I learn from this mistake. How can I use this to improve myself? How can I use this to improve my team? What can we do better next time? And if you adopt that sort of philosophy and you put that out there, it can really put you at a cutting edge of a different type of contractor. There's a lot of people out there that don't like to do that. There's a lot of finger pointing and there's a lot of, the wall wasn't straight and this wasn't straight and that wasn't right. And you can do that, but certainly that sort of stuff should have been picked up well and truly before you started putting glue on the substrate. It's just
that's right. Yeah.
That's part of the process. So,
that's right.
No, that's awesome, mate. Tell me, we're getting close to finishing up today. I'm really curious. I've got a couple of really great questions just to finish up with. One of them is, how do you go about? I see it a lot online these days, is where a lot of contractors are seeking assistance from other people in communities about what they should be charging for jobs. How do you go about pricing your jobs up these days? Like, what do you know? How do you know what to charge? What's your method? Have you got a system?
Yeah, I do have a system. It's just I think just being connected with enough tilers within the space to understand what competitive is, and just a little bit of advice. This has more to do with business than tiling, but when starting off right at the start, when you don't have a name, don't have a reputation, don't have a brand, you have to understand your priority shouldn't be, oh, I'm going to absolutely maximize profits. Your priority should be value. You should be coming in the absolute cheapest. And I don't want to hear this, oh, I don't want to be the cheapest because I don't want people to get used to, use him because he's cheap. That has never happened for me either. Come in bringing maximum value, come in really competitive, and then as you start creating a brand, a reputation, quality around your work, and you can back your work, then you can start charging what sort of the higher end of the ladder, sort of charging for prices. Now, so just sort of being connected with a greater scope of different tilers, I have a really good understanding of what the going rate is, and we try to come in as competitive as possible.
Yeah, I like that. Short story. I'm trying not to bore you to death, but when I started in the tiling industry, it was 2003, right? So 21 years ago. And my first job was working in retail tiling, and I was just a full-time sales consultant. Very quickly went into assistant manager and then manager, and it was a business that's no longer around. And it worked down. It was called the Ceramic Tile Market down at Springwood, and we had a couple of guys rock up into the store one day, tiling contractors come up out of Sydney, a couple of good mates. And they were clearly going around store to store, introducing themselves and what they wanted to do. And one of the things that they wanted to do, and this is like 21 years ago, so this is before digital media, right? These guys were like, we want to make a name for ourselves. We want to get ourselves into, develop really good relationships with a few different tile shops around the area. This is what we're prepared to do. So their start off rate, because back then, laying 600 by 600 porcelains was starting to really take off. Before that, it was sort of very much a 450 by 450 market. Yeah. So the boys put on the table $15 a square metre for 600 by 600s. No adhesive though, no adhesive or grout. So the clients had to buy the glues and grouts and provide them. It was just the labour.
Yes.
And I was like, and you can imagine at $15 a square metre how much work they were getting. It was, next level. And back in those days, I mean, 21 years ago, back in those days, there wasn't a lot of, the tiling work back then wasn't as complicated as it is today. I mean, today when you look at the bathroom work and some of the tiles that are coming out, and just a different build. Back then, it was main floors. It was 80, 100 square meters, 150 square meter main floors in a lot of the areas in and around Brisbane. And these guys were just making, well, they were cleaning up. I don't know how profitable it was, but they were certainly annoying a lot of the other tilers that were charging, sort of $40s and $50 a square meter back then to lay the same tile. But they got a lot of work, and they built a reputation and did it for a long time. And then eventually, after they built that brand, they were able to then shift their rates up. So it was, to your point and story, that I've seen that before, and it definitely works. As long as you can hold out from a profitable perspective for a little while, then you're okay. Mate, just to finish up for today, tell me, how do you go about finding work? What's your marketing plan look like?
Yeah, so we didn't do. So regarding sort of finding work, I think people talk a lot about word of mouth. And I think that's how we sort of started growing really quickly. Was, I didn't know about this, but one of the clients we worked for, we obviously made him happy enough to. I didn't know about this, but he went and sort of boasted about us on a local Facebook group because people then sort of started contacting me. I got contacted by a project manager for a big company, and he offered me a really big project. It was my first biggest project we've done, was the high school Narang upgrade, where we redid all the bathrooms and stuff. And that was really, really exciting. And that actually came from a project for someone we'd done a little bathroom job for, where we, to be honest, we brought him so much value. I don't think we actually made any or much profit on that job at all. But in business, you really always got to think long term. So that really paid off long term. So from that project manager, we met his supervisor. His supervisor then carried us on through all the different builders he went and worked for and things like that. But yeah, word of mouth is massive. But what I'm finding more now that is extremely powerful is social media, Instagram. That's massive. I'm going to be honest, like, we're getting a lot of good quality jobs from our social media. There's, if you follow us on our social media at Premium Edge Tiling on Instagram, and you see some of our latest videos, there's more reason to us putting those up than just trying to boast our egos or try to show off with what we're doing. People like associating with a group of tilers or anyone that takes pride in their work and is out there just having a good time and enjoying what they're doing. There's a lot of supervisors, project managers that are sitting on their phones on the weekends, and they get these videos and they're like, hold on, I'm struggling with my tiler, let's call these boys. And Monday morning comes out and I'm absolutely hammered with different phone calls from all over the place. And a lot of people working on their private homes, and they're out on social media scouring new ideas and things like that. And they're the type of people that also don't want to just have anyone work on their home. They also want to share the project with someone that cares about what they do as much as they care about their home. So they want to give it to someone that takes pride in their work and, you know, like boasting about what they're doing and things like that. And yeah, I think there's a whole community of people out there that are starting to connect on that level. So I'm finding it quite powerful, and you'll see a lot more come from us on social media because of that.
Nice. Mate, perfect. Yeah, look, Instagram certainly is a very powerful tool, and I think everyone's seeing some really good benefit from that. And if you craft some really good content, you know, people can actually have a real deep look at the sort of work that you're doing, and clearly that builds a really strong brand as well. So that's awesome. Phineas, mate, that's us for today. But before we wrap up, I would like to ask, we have a very broad community, a lot of people out there. I think last year we were listened to in about 21 countries around the world, and growing, of course. This is a homegrown Australian born and bred podcast for the tiling community. What if people want to connect in with yourself and get to know a little bit more about you, or even ring you for a quote on a job, or get to know Premium Edge Tiling a little bit better? What's the best way for them to connect in with you guys?
Yeah, there's a number of there's a number of ways. So social media being probably the number one. I always get those notifications straight away, and you might find you know, we're able to sort of hit it off straight away and have a chat through the inbox there. Or you can have a look at our website at premiumedgetiling.com.au, and there's also an inquiry box where you can email directly, put your inquiry on requesting a quote. I get that notification, then I get back in contact with you straight away. Or you can just shoot us an email at you can shoot me directly an email at phineas@premiumedgetiling.com.au. Yeah, so there's a number of ways.
No, look, it's mate, really good to connect in with you. I really appreciate your time today, mate. And as we say it in every show, until next time, stay connected, and we'll definitely speak again soon.
Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it.